there, fellow thirsty travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're in Savannah, Georgia. And today we're going to talk about are some of the drinks you should have when you come to the South. Because the South is such a fun place to go, but it's so dang hot, you're going to want to keep yourself hydrated and liquidized when you are here, because you're going to sweat so much in the summer and have a good time when you're here, no matter where you go in the South. But I want to start with this. Before we get too far into talking about the drinks, you need to realize in the South, you really need to know your audience, who you're drinking with. Because sometimes you go places, you want to bring a bottle of wine as a gift, or maybe a bottle of rye or some bourbon or whatever. And you have to realize this, houses can be like totally, how would I say this, super boozy, or they can be teetotalers, i.e. they love to drink or they don't drink at all. So it's really important to know that, distinguish the company before you go out and pick up that bottle of bourbon, okay, to give them, all right? But let's start with some non-alcoholic things first, because honestly, the drink you have to have in the South is sweet tea. Now, when you go around, you go to restaurants, you just order tea, it will by default usually be sweet tea. Like when you go to the restaurants, it'll say unsweet tea. It doesn't say tea, it says unsweet tea on the thing, right? Because sweet tea is how you do it. And honestly, my Southern friends, when they go to the North and they try to get sweet tea and the places go, oh, we have tea and sugar packets, they're like, oh, bless your heart. That is not the same thing, because it's not. Because here, how they brew it, how they make it, sweet tea is fantastic. Whether in your little diner, you're going to a little like corner place, you're getting the barbecue on the side of the road, or even at normal restaurants, I mean, sweet tea is amazing, okay? That's one thing you have to have. Another thing you want to get in those hot days, lemonade. They make fantastic lemonade down here. No, I'm not talking powder country time that you get a lot of places, or from the like thing that the Coke comes out of, they push a button and then it's a different lemonade. No, we're talking like real made lemonade. When you're here, it is so good, and you can have a lot of different kinds of it, but that's one that's gonna be fantastic because those cold drinks are great. And I'm gonna tell you, one of the things you're gonna get here as well in the South is a big old styrofoam cup of soda or some drink with ice in it. You're gonna go to the gas station to get it, and you're like, Mark, so what, I get fountain soda from the gas station? No, here it's different. Because here, you want to get it with the good ice. Some people call it the rabbit turd ice, but yeah, you get that good ice, the styrofoam cup, that keeps your drink cold forever, okay? So you have that. But let's be honest, when we talk about drinks, we're not talking about non-alcoholic drinks. We're talking about alcoholic drinks you should have when you come here. And I'm gonna tell you, bourbon is a big thing in the South, okay? And whiskey, rye, these things, there's a lot of stuff you wanna have when you're here. And you can have it straight up, you can have it on the rocks, but there's a lot of drinks you wanna have. And some of the more popular ones, probably old fashions are very popular you wanna have, which is, you know, bourbon or rye in there. You have simple syrup, basically sugar. And then you have bitters in there, and then a twist of citrus, so you have that one. That's a very common one you can get all over the South. Probably another really famous like whiskey-based one is whiskey sour, which is basically bourbon and then lemon juice and simple sugar, you know, simple syrup, or basically sugar. You have that. That's one, it's really good. Now I'll tell you, these bourbon drinks, they can pack a wallop, because a lot of times it's not mixed with like, oh, it's not like a, you know, Jack and Coke. No, it's like bourbon and lemon juice sometimes. Like it can be a bit much, so do be careful. And I think one of the ones you really should think about is actually a mint julep. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm gonna go to Louisville for the, you know, the Kentucky Derby, and a mint julep's really a Southern drink. I will tell you, Jocelyn worked here in Savannah for a number of years. She was a waitress here for like 10 years, and she would tell people, they'd come down, look, mint juleps, I'm not sure you're gonna like it, because you have to really, yes, I'm saying really this many times, really love bourbon, because it literally is ice, bourbon, pouring it, and basically it's just ice, mint, and simple syrup, like sugar in there, that's it. So it's literally like you're drinking a glass of bourbon with the little mint thing. It's fun to have, but I'm gonna tell you, if you're not a bourbon person, it is not something I really recommend. Try some of the other drinks when you're here, okay? Oh, and by the way, don't be surprised if people argue over the right way to make a drink. Therefore, in the comments below, if you think I should have a different way of making the drinks, please put it down there. So then, I'm not saying I did it the right way, I'm just saying there's a lot of ways and there's a lot of interpretations of how people like to make drinks here. Another thing you're gonna notice when you're coming to the South is people love their beer. When we're in the South, even the true South, this isn't craft beer country. Yeah, there are craft breweries you can go to, but let's be honest. If you're in the South, it's all about cheap canned beer. Yeah, you're gonna have the High Life, baby. You gotta have some Miller High Life, or maybe you're gonna go for a PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Tall Boy. Yes, that is the way you roll in the South. You're gonna go to a tailgate for a game. You're gonna go to, you know, go out on the lake. You're gonna go out on the water. You're gonna go hunting. You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna have ice cold, cheapo beer. I mean, that's the way you do. And the thing is, even a place like Savannah, which is all sophisticated with the fancy buildings and everything's done up, you go to the bars, Yeah, they're selling dollar PBR tall boys right there. That is a Southern thing you gotta have, all right? So don't be too snooty to go get yourself some canned beer. Now, Savannah is one of my favorite cities to visit in the entire country. Another one of my favorite cities also here in the South is New Orleans. And there's a couple drinks from New Orleans that are Southern drinks that whenever people have like a Southern party outside the South, they bring up. And it's one of the things you should try. One is a Sazerac, which is a rye whiskey, absinthe, sugar, and bitters. Very popular one. I love getting that when I'm in New Orleans. You can actually go to the Sazerac like museum and go have it there, but you can have that all over, and you can get it all over the South. It's probably your local bar can do it for you too. Another one that is very popular, which is very sweet and can really knock you on your butt, is called a hurricane, which is basically rum, passion fruit, and lime juice, and it's a lot of rum, but that passion fruit juice really, like, the juices really knock out the rum flavor, so you don't realize how strong it is. So when you're in New Orleans, you're having a good time there, in the French Quarter and stuff, you'll see tourists that are a little bit too gone because they had a few too many hurricanes, because they could get you, right? So, and there's lots of other drinks in the South. In New Orleans, there's the hand grenade, there's all kinds of other stuff, but bourbon, I think, is a really big thing I want to kind of mention, is really important in the South. That could be bourbon, rye, whiskey, that family, that's their kind of go-to. So if you're looking to give a gift to somebody, a bottle of bourbon, not a bad thing to have. Now, if you're gonna be going to Florida, or if you're gonna be in Texas or other places, you'll notice there's also frozen drinks. Like some places, there's actually drive-through frozen drink places where you can get a frozen margarita or a frozen daiquiri or some kind of mudslide made into a frozen drink. Like, these are very popular, especially on the beach. Here in Savannah, you go to Tybee Island, you go to Tybee Times, there's literally places there that, like, it's like a little smoothie, just comes out, here you go, now go get drunk. You can have those. I mean, I can't tell you, you're going to Texas. I know some people don't put Texas in the South, but for this, we'll say, you can't go wrong with the margarita in Texas, right? Because that's another really popular drink. But let's be honest, you can't go with the margarita pretty much anywhere in the world, because they're good, right? So you have that. And the thing is, when you go around the South, you'll notice there's some regional sodas as well. Like Big Red is really big in Texas, but I guess another thing I would say is like Cheerwine is another thing. It's from North Carolina. You'll see it here in the South. It's not a cola, it's not a Dr. Pepper. It's almost like its own like little cherry-esque kind of thing on the side. Some people love it. My buddy Mark, like whenever he comes to this part of the South, he like literally fills up his trunk. I love him, Mark, you're awesome, buddy. Does that, but that's one of the things you might want to try when you're here. Another thing that you don't see it a lot as much anymore, but you used to see it quite a bit here in Georgia, is Coke and peanuts, or peanuts and Coke. And basically you have a bottle of Coke, it needs to be a bottle of Coke, and you put peanuts in it. And the thing is, you let it sit in there, and the salt from the peanuts and the stuff kind of sit in there for a while, and it kind of like, the Coke kind of softens up a bit. So while you're drinking your Coke normally, when you get to the bottom, you get all these kind of like softer peanuts in there, and you can eat those, but kind of that salt within the sweetness and the Coke is actually really good. You can try that at home right now. Go get yourself some Planters and throw it in there. You'll be great. Though, I wonder how it would be if I took boiled peanuts and put it in there. I'll have to try that sometime. But I think another thing is important to mention about the soda thing is historically people would call all soda or pop, they'd call it Coke. So you say, oh, I want a Coke, which Coke would you like? I'd like a Sprite, right? So Coke was like the default soda word. Now, as the U.S. has become more homogenous everywhere, you don't hear people saying Coke as much for soda. You hear soda more, or soft drinks or stuff, and then they'll say, I'll have a Coke, I'll have a Pepsi, well, no one has Pepsi, but Coke or Dr. Pepper or something like that. But I do what you be aware, sometimes they'll ask you, hey, what kind of Coke do you want? And they mean, what kind of soda do you want, okay? So you say you want a Coke, they might ask, and what kind? And you're like, oh, a Coke. Okay, cool. So be aware of that. And the thing is, when you're gonna be here, be responsible, you're gonna be drinking, because you can have a great time throughout the South. But don't drink and drive, know your limit, use ride shares to get home, because we want you traveling more and enjoying more drinks around the world. So if you want to know more things about drinks and eats around the world, what you should have, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have all kinds of things to tell you about the food in the South, the food in, England, the food in China, the food in South America. We have things to help people enjoy travel better. So we wish you all the best and say thank you for being here, and enjoy your drink, buddy. Cheers.